Okay. All right. Well, welcome. I want to introduce you to my lovely client, Julie. Julie and I have been working together for a couple of months, and I'm just excited for Julie's story. And Julie, I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself and just say really where you were before we met, like what was going on with your health that had you get on the phone with me, and specifically like the symptoms that you had, and then what you noticed so far into your program with where we're at would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Linda. I'm happy to tell my story because it's been a difficult journey. I've had a chronic illness for so many years I can't even count. I look back, I'm 62 years old, and I believe I got sick probably around 30. So half my life I've had a chronic illness, and nobody could quite figure out what it was. And I've had, sinus surgery. I had what I believed was candida. I didn't always eat great. I ate better than some people, which is what's been frustrating for me. But, I'm not a big sugar person and some of those, but I drank beer and did other things that probably wasn't very healthy, just typical things we do when growing up. But I just couldn't get to the bottom of how I felt. And I think I just accepted for so long that I just wasn't going to feel great every day. And I worked through life. I've had a lot of high stress jobs. And just recently, I'd say it was about a year ago, it was in July, and I know that because I was out at my family cabin, and I just had it. I just started feeling to where I just couldn't handle it emotionally anymore. And part of my story is the fact that I have had some personal tragedies with deaths in my family and different things that have happened. And I think that has played a big role also in getting well or not getting well, and certainly a stumbling block. So last July, I just couldn't do what I was doing anymore. And I was under the care of different physicians, some holistic, some not. I've been on a holistic path for quite a while, but just because you're holistic doesn't mean that you're going to find the program that works for you. And I think holistic medicine has come a long way. But so in July, I just started looking for somebody that would help me. And I found somebody who helped me for a little while. And I think the key to that doctor, he was holistic, he was a chiropractor, I think was the fact that he gave me the tools, as far as maybe tools not the right word. He gave me the ability to understand tests and the different types of tests that were really critical in finding out what was wrong with my body. I would do other kind of tests that doctors had me do, but we didn't really look deep. And so he had me do an array of tests, from GI tests to the stool test to the different candida tests and food allergy tests and all of that. So that was a tool for me to say, wow, I'm really sick. But information is power. And so I took those and went on his program. But the program over time was just not the program for me. It was I'm grateful for where he took me. It is a journey of healing. And where he took me was to understand what was wrong. But then he subscribed a ton of supplements that I paid for in advance and started taking, and the bottom dropped out pretty quickly for me because I am super sensitive. And that's been one of the most frustration things for me in my journey, is that I just can't take much. And I had to pretty much kind of let that program go because I didn't find, again, I'm grateful, but I didn't find accessibility to helping or talking to him or helping me through this, and taking a step back and finding out where I go from there. So it was part of my journey. I found out what was wrong with me, and I found out some different things that I could take to help me, but I just flatlined because I was so sensitive. So I just stopped, and there was no follow-up. But I had the test. So then I moved on and found another practitioner, and I signed up for different things that I could watch online or different groups I could become a part of. And that physician helped me also through the process, and I did some homeopathic stuff with him, which homeopathics work fairly well with me. And I think that helped me, but I still wasn't there. So where I felt my symptoms at the time, I still had tremendous head fog. You asked me my number one symptom, it's head fog. And it's 90% of the time. I can't think of a day until recently that I've had a clear thinking. And if you really understand head fog, there's so many descriptions for it, but I always say it just feels like somebody took a basketball pump and pumped up my head, with air. And I became so dysfunctional, but also depression would creep in because I felt like I couldn't do anything at all. I didn't have an attention span. I was cranky. You know, I would be throughout the day, all of a sudden I just would have to start kind of like blowing and breathing, and, you know, because it just overtook me with anxiety. And I've never been a very anxious person, but I was anxious, depressed, head fog, and then fatigue. I had energy, but it just, my body hurt, you know, which is interesting because some people just have such extreme fatigue that they can't move. But I could do things. I was still pretty accomplished. I was still working most of the time, trying to, but it was dragging, you know, but it just my body hurt.
Yeah.
I also recently had an injury a couple of years ago, and I had to have knee surgery, and I fractured my back. And one of the things that I've really noticed, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, but you know, a lot of those body pains are gone since I've started this program. And but during that time, though, my joints ached, my back ached, you know, where it was fractured, my knee hurt, you know, those things. So it was more body aches, head fog, depression, anxiety. I cried every day. Every day I cried. I'd cry to go to bed at night. I would curl up in a little ball and hug my beagle and just, you know, go, when is this ever going to end? And then I found you, and things turned around significantly and pretty darn quickly. So
Good.
yeah.
Awesome. I didn't realize that about you, that you were in that much pain and that you've just seemed like a strong person since we've met. So I'm really glad that that you're not crying yourself to sleep every day.
I'm not at all. I was thinking yesterday, when was the last time I really cried? I was crying every day. Because I am a strong person. Sometimes I'm proud of that. Sometimes I'm not. You know, it can be your own enemy as well.
Yep.
But when you're a strong person and you're down to that point of crying, it's hard. I was crying every day at different times, but almost every night when I go to bed, I just would cry. I was hopeless. I just didn't have any hope, you know, even with some of the steps I had taken. And I wasn't crying because I found out I had these things wrong with me. And some of the things I had wrong with me on the test weren't extreme, but I had some multiple things, you know, and that becomes a more confusing picture, because how do you attack all these multiple things at one time and on your own? And, you know, so that was just overwhelming to me. And I just would cry about it because I just felt like, you know, it's hard being 62 and thinking, my concern is, how am I going to age? How am I going to feel? If I feel like this at 62, how am I going to feel at 72 and 82? Am I even going to make it there? You know, so yeah, but I'm so much more optimistic. So much more optimistic. Thanks to you, Linda.
Well, Julie, thank you for sharing all that. And what I really want to say to you is thank you for trusting and partnering with me, because hearing the journey that you've been on, it would be easy to throw your hands up or to say, not one more person. And sometimes it just takes that one more person that's the right click. And so I'm honored, really, I am. I'm like really touched right now to be on this journey with you. And we're only, a little ways in. We've got plenty to go, and we're going to keep going until you feel like you're really where you want to be. That's my mission, to work with you. But thank you so much for sharing your story for me and for anyone who's going to listen and potentially wonder if this could be the right path for them.
Well, I think it'll be a pretty quick decision when I start working with you, Linda, because you are very trusting. I mean, it's easy for me to trust you because of your knowledge and your compassion, and you don't find that everywhere. And I want to say one other thing, and that is the fact that the other component you brought into this, not only really telling me what I need to eat and the steps that you laid out really changed my life, but it's also working on the mental part, the gratitude, and that's really what, when I clicked with you. There's a lot of doctors out doing some of the things you're doing, but when you bring in the holistic piece of your mental health and the gratitude and really understanding and doing the daily practices, that's when I knew I had to go down that step as well. And it was a perfect match for me. So I am grateful, and you teach me to be grateful every day, and it's really made a big difference.
So glad. It's made a big difference for me too, because when I don't do that, my day goes differently. When I do that, my day goes the way I want it to go. And so I'm glad that's happening for you too. That's why I share those tools. So, All right, wonderful. Well, I'm going to wish you a great day then. And thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Let's see.